Good day. Beautiful, lovely day out at the beach. Gandhi. So I wanted to talk about maternal forgiveness and paternal forgiveness. And the reason there is two kinds of forgiveness is sometimes we have to forgive a person from one side because the other person's not ready for receiving that forgiveness or even giving any true apology, right? So you can forgive a person for they know not what they do, and that's actually the best way to be, you know. However, once they know what they have done and it's conscious, and they're actually, once they've done that, then I don't believe that there can be even forgiveness at all, because that's continuing the evil, that's continuing the sin, that's continuing to miss the mark on purpose. And so I think about, if you want to share an environment with somebody, then you need to be able to negotiate how we share that environment. So forgive them, they know not what they do. You love them from afar. You pray for them. And this is how we can protect ourselves and, in a sense, protect them. Because when you push on somebody when they're not ready for it, it's going to push them further away from the truth a lot of the time. But sometimes when you think that you're doing something, you really want to change things, you're not actually changing anything. You have to do the maternal. You know, if you love something, let it go, and when it comes back to you, you know it's meant to be. And that doesn't mean the love's meant to be. It just means that you get to share an environment with this person. You get to have actionable love. And what does actionable love come from? An actionable love comes from assertion, the ability to talk about the stuff that we did to each other in the past that caused us to hurt each other. Because once we can bring those demons from the subconscious, because those are little demons, especially like people in close to each other and families and stuff, they can really trigger that thing in you. And that's like a demon that, if you're not able to be assertive with people, then you can actually make each other much, much worse. And I've been in those situations many times. So so for us to share a space and have actionable love, we need to talk about how we hurt each other, apologize, repent for that, and start to live our redemption to each other. And we redeem ourselves, and then we're trusted again. You know, and I believe that we have to think about things like this, because we can't trust each other if we're not even able to speak of how we hurt each other. And I was at church on Sunday. After church, I had this just this little feeling that I wanted to, whoa, slippery mud there. I had this little feeling that I wanted to stop by my dad's place, and I was like, well, maybe this isn't a good idea, you know. Maybe I'm pushing something, you know. But then I heard the two different voices. The one said, go over there, and I realized that if I had avoided that voice, it would have been I discussed it with myself, and I realized that would have been a weakness for me to turn away from, because really there's a little dragon that needs to be confronted between us. And so I could have just drove past, but I decided to pull in, and we talked, and I let him know, you know, I want us to get together and talk about what happened, you know. Then we can find out what things are true, like what things were pathological in my actions and what things were pathological in your own. And I was like, well, I'm coming over his direction now, and I really could feel that he wants to open up. But I understand that he's between a rock and a hard place, because he could, if he opens up about it, then he could cause wave with his other children, right? So I can see where he's at, but the only way for us to, sometimes you have to go through the chaos and tear your whole apartment apart and throw it all into chaos before you put it back into order. And that's what I'm asking for, because that's the only way that we can move forward. So I called him up today again, a couple days later, and I said, what do you think about what I said about us having the podcast? And he's like, no, I'm not really into doing it. I'm like, well, do you understand why I would want to do that? How we could we could talk about those things that we disagree with and maybe get some truths out. And he's like, yeah, no, I don't want to go on about that. And I'm like, why won't you come and speak on it? You know what I mean? And I don't understand why we can't just speak on this. And he says, you're bipolar, Patrick. And that triggered me instantaneously, obviously. First of all, whatever you want to call me, you can call me it. However, if you're just calling me a name or trying to pathologize me, then you're avoiding the conversation that we are on about. It's called shadow projection. So I called him out on it, and I said, and I was triggered. So I was a little, I was in my lower self, let's say. And that's what happens when you're around these energies. You have to be very careful around, people that are like that. Oh, look at the beaver in the water. Going for a swim there, buddy? Good boy. Look at that, girl. So, and I realize this, he's just not ready. Yet, if he's not ready, then we have to do the maternal forgiveness thing. And that's, we have to know that the only way to find a truth is to have a long form conversation. And the reason I want it transparent is because of how much gaslighting that I've gotten from my family. And I want other people to recognize that and just for what it is. And that's why we need to be transparent. And that's why around these people, even your family, if they start to do this to you, and they're not willing to even just talk about the situation that you're trying to talk about, you should know what that is, right? Shadow projection. It's gaslighting, you know what I mean? They don't want to dig into their own stuff. So I told my dad at the end of the conversation, is that right, Gandhi? Finish this up, these dogs are getting loud. Are you a good boy? So, I'll have to admit I got a little frustrated with my dad, and I got out of my higher self, and I realized this is a time, if we can't speak truth, then we can't get past the trauma that's between us. So I told him I love you, and I'm gonna pray for you, and at this point I have to love you from afar, and that's why I can only forgive them. They know not what they do. I believe we're gonna see a lot of this gaslighting stuff, and a lot of people witch hunted from their families, because there's going to be a lot of people awakening, and if their family's not ready to awaken, then a lot of them are going to try to pathologize the people that are awakening, One thing we should know, though, if somebody was really worried about somebody, they would be the ones that would continue to try to help them. If they were worried about a path they're going down, they would continue to try and help that person rather than, avoid them altogether. And that's what my brother and dad have been doing. And I've been the one that's reaching out every single time. But you know what? I'm realizing now he's not ready, and I might just be pushing him further away from the truth. And, giving him stress that he doesn't need in his old age, So, much love, everybody, and God bless. And if anybody ever wants to talk about their own experiences with this stuff, the family, being separated from friends or family or groups or communities because you're awakening, please leave me a comment or contact me directly. Anyways, much love.